G'day and welcome to another episode of Cuppa with a Jesuit. I'm Father Robin Koning, the Provincial Assistant for Jesuit Vocations, and I'm having a cuppa here with a couple of my Jesuit mates.
With Father Robin, I'm Julian Butler, a Jesuit in formation, and we're joined today by Brett O'Neill, who's in Boston, in the United States. G'day, Brett. Welcome.
Hello, guys. Robin and Julian. Nice to see you again. Cheers.
Brett, as I mentioned, you're in Boston, undertaking further studies, having completed your philosophy and theology required for ordination. Would you tell us a bit about the studies that you're doing and the area that you're working in?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm primarily here for ordination, of course, so preparing for ordination coming up, but I'm also studying theological ethics. I'm doing a PhD here at Boston College. It's really great faculty. I feel very lucky to be here. My focus is on social ethics and primarily in migration ethics. So I've still got a few more years to go, one more year of coursework, and then I'll get started on the big stuff.
And what sort of gave rise to interest in that area of studies and work?
Yeah. I guess I've been interested in social ethics for a long time. So I guess through my theological formation back in my early days, I was really taken by the church's social doctrine, and just want to be part of helping the church articulate that more and be more effective in how it worked, how it advocated for people on the margins. So before I joined the Jesuits, I worked in government, in policy, and I was really interested in the moral questions that it raised in that world. And that's really fed me coming into Boston College, into my studies. I draw a lot from that experience and the questions that it raised for me. And so I hope to focus on how the church can be more effective in how it advocates for people, particularly asylum seekers and refugees who, often left out of the conversation.
Studying there at Boston in what I understand is a large community of Jesuits in formation and in studies. What's that experience like, to be with a large group of Jesuits studying together and living together, living community together?
Yes, it's certainly quite overwhelming. We have about 70 Jesuits here in my community, just in the formation community. But just up the road, we have another community of 50 Jesuits, and then across Boston, there's other communities. So it's quite different from my experience back in Australia, where we had smaller communities, smaller gatherings. I love it. This week, we've actually just had a lot of the new guys for this academic year have just moved in. So we've got guys from Spain and Portugal and across Africa, Eastern Africa, Madagascar, Haiti, Europe, Korea, China. So it's a really fascinating group of guys, and particularly this week, we're just trying to get to know each other, get to have a lot of fascinating conversations, and find out about their experience across the different parts of the world. And there might
even be another one from Australia there.
We did just get another one from Australia. That was quite a nice event to happen. Josh, my novice mates, come over here, and really nice to have him here. And I'll be a good guide for him as he starts off in Boston. I mean, the great thing about Boston College is we have a lot of opportunities to work with students, undergrads. So a lot of us get involved in campus ministry. I got involved in the Chorus retreats last year and the year before, and also just got involved in spiritual direction for some of the younger students. And so it's a great place for formation in that sense. A lot of opportunities.
Brett, you've talked about the having in a larger community there in Boston compared to the generally smaller communities here in Australia. Do you have a sense of, has that been you talked about a bit of a challenge being in the bigger communities, but also the joys of it, and there's also some challenge sometimes in smaller communities, isn't there? Do you have a sense of the challenge of that, or are other particular challenges in Jesuit life?
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly got them. I think in terms of the large community, I think we're very lucky to have a very intercultural community. We have to, but it means having to adjust to other expectations, to other cultural expectations. So I live with another number of guys from Africa and Korea and across Europe, and there's always a room for slight misinterpretations of things. My accent doesn't help. People don't, they can understand the American, but the Australian's often a little bit too hard to understand. So that's a minor frustration, I guess. But it's also a joy. I think that the cultural differences have been a joy, mostly for me. Challenges, otherwise, I think sometimes you just have to take what you get. So whatever community you're missioned to, you just have to deal with the personalities that are there. And that's part of the challenge of Jesuit life, is that we have to be able to be free to be able to flourish in whatever situation we find ourselves in. So if we are in a community that's challenging, there's something in the Ignatian spirituality about finding that inner freedom to be yourself and to be able to flourish within that. And that's not always easy, but I guess we have, it's just part of what we have to do.
And I believe it's only a matter of weeks before you are being ordained as a deacon. That's
correct. So September 18, I've got the Diaconal Ordination. There's 12 of us being ordained together, mostly Americans, and one from the Czech Republic. And hopefully we're expecting, Sean O'Malley, Cardinal Sean, to do the ordination. I have to say, I spent a lot of time building up to this point of ordination, and it's finally here. It's exciting, scary as well, but I think it'll be a great challenge as well.
That's great, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
It has been quite a journey, hasn't it? Yours hasn't been, we wouldn't say it's been the most direct route to the Jesuits compared to that of some other people. Would you like to share a bit about your journey towards the Jesuits and your call to Jesuit vocation?
Yeah, certainly it's taken a long time to get to this point. I first felt really drawn to being a priest quite young, when I was a teenager, and I'm a lot older than that now. So I was very involved in the charismatic renewal when I was younger, and that was a really wonderful, nurturing time for me. Really built my faith, and it stirred in me this desire to respond generously to God. And soon after I finished school, I entered religious life. I joined the Missionaries of God's Love Brothers, who are an Australian order based in Canberra and Melbourne. That was a really wonderful time, a really formative experience, very fruitful. I've got wonderful friends from that time, wonderful memories. I think, after a while, after a number of years, I realised it wasn't the right place for me. But I still find that I think the formation I received in that time is still informs me now in some ways, in my approach to religious life and to ministry. So I joined the MGLs for a number of years. When I left, I ended up working in the government for a few years, as I mentioned, and just that stirring, that desire for priesthood, for ministry, for service, just remained with me. And I think I was drawn to the Jesuits because of the Ignatian emphasis on finding God in all things. So that we can encounter God, we can encounter God's calling for us, God's promptings for us, just in our everyday experiences, our interactions, our relationships. So I found that really attractive, that world-affirming spirituality. And I also knew some Jesuits. I think I first met you back when I was in MGL Robin many years ago, and some of the other guys taught me as well. So I was really drawn to the spirituality of Ignatius and the Jesuits. I was working in an area related to refugees and asylum seekers, and I remember being really taken by the work of Jesuit Refugee Service. They had a great reputation, doing really, really wonderful things. And part of my attraction to the society was the opportunity to be able to keep working in ministries like that. So that drew me in. I haven't been part of the Jesuit Refugee Service so far in my Jesuit career, but I hope that will come up at some point.
Brett, would you share something about how being a Jesuit so far has allowed you to develop and grow in those passions, and that bringing together of practical work, policy work, study, how that has unfolded for you as a Jesuit?
Yeah, there's certainly been many opportunities to develop those skills, those areas across my Jesuit life. So in my regency, I worked with Jesuit social services and was able to work both in their advocacy side, so doing a lot of research and government advocacy work, but then also doing the practical side of working side by side with newly arrived migrants, with people in the criminal justice system. Had some time working in the Parkville Youth Justice Centre. So those experiences really stretched me and give me a lot more to hone in on about what I feel passionate about, what I feel interested in, and what I'm good at, what I can offer to the society and to the church. And here in Boston, we have similar opportunities as well for that kind of service. I've had the opportunity to go visit the southern border here in the USA and to see what's going on there and understand people's stories and just see what some of the challenges are that we have here in the United States and how it relates to what we have in Australia.
You reminded me, Brett, that we had met while you were still in MGL, and it's great that the Spirit can work even through those sort of encounters, that you continued to still want to join the Jesuits after that experience. If you were talking to a young man today who was expressing some interest in religious life in the Jesuits, perhaps, what might you say to him?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. I think that often we can be very trite with the way we talk to people who are looking at vocations, and we can often talk about, what's right for you, what's suitable for you, what will bring you most fulfillment. And I think they're important questions, but I think the accent is rather on something else. It's about how can I use my generosity, how can I use my gifts generously in service of God and of God's people. And I think that I basically say the church needs you, the Society of Jesus needs you. The church expects us as Jesuits to be working on the margins of society, the margins of the church. There's a heck of a lot of work to do. There's a lot of need out there, and I think I want to tell people we need you. We need you here, and we need men who are talented and generous, and love Jesus and can live authentically. And the church needs that, particularly in the church in Australia, where we have such challenges of credibility. We need people to respond generously. So that's what I'd say to you. You need it. Come along. It's a great life as well. It's a great life of being able to be with Jesus and to serve people in unique ways, I think.
Thanks, Brett, and thanks for your time here. It's been great to share a cuppa with you, and hopefully all the best for your ordination coming up. And hopefully before too long, we'll see you face to face.
Excellent. Nice to see you across the other side of the world. Cheers.
God bless.